Oh my goodness, we figured her out. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on over to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. I'm going to get this one video going up and live for you guys while we sit there and wait. The Israeli Defense Force decided it'd be a good idea to bomb the crap out of Gaza, and they are going to frickin' town. Over 100 people are reported to have been killed so far. It is a freaking nightmare out there, ladies and gentlemen. I've got fresh videos and stuff like that coming at you from the ground over in Gaza. As we sit here and wait on everybody to pour in the chat, I'm going to play this sweet, succulent, beautiful, brand new freaking footage that got tagged. Somebody tagged me over on X in it, and I figured this is one hell of a way to start a show, so I'm going to do that for you guys this morning. That is probably one of the coolest shots I think I've seen in a long time as I wait on everybody to roll in here. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Hi, Matt and chat from Colorado. Woo-wee. Yeah, you can call it a flight simulator. No, that's actual freaking footage, and that comes out of the cockpit of a... Ooh, hold on. You guys don't need to hear all that music still. I'm so sorry. What am I doing with all that music on? Jeez, I'm a freaking knucklehead, aren't I? Yeah. Listen, that is legit footage, and it's coming out of the cockpit of a Royal Army Air Force, basically British FA-18 Growler, all right, through the city of Brisbane. It's pretty freaking baller, if you ask me. I freaking love that stuff. That's a cool freaking look. I love that. All right, look, here's what's going on. I know I talked last night about Putin and Zelensky meeting up over inside Turkey and Donald Trump not going. White House ended up releasing some audio about Trump speaking on the matter.
Mr. President, are you disappointed in the level of the delegation that the Russians sent to Turkey? No Putin on this.
I'm not disappointed in anything. Who are you from?
BBC News.
I'm not disappointed. What would I be disappointed? We just took in $4 trillion, and he says, are you disappointed about a delegation? I know nothing about a delegation. I haven't even checked. Look, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there. And I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Trump is saying that nothing is going to end up happening until he ends up meeting up with Putin. And it basically kind of dispels a lot of the BS that ended up coming out last night, that basically Putin didn't want to go to the meetings, that he wasn't willing to go. No, Putin's only willing to go if Trump's there, allegedly, and Trump, I guess, wasn't going to be there. Also, over here in the United States of America, before we even start talking about what's taking place over inside Gaza, looks like the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's decided it'd be a good idea to just bust in and frickin' ruin somebody's day over in the Senate.
Permitted while the committee conducts its business. Capitol Police are asked to remove the individuals from the hearing room.
Move down the hallway.
Ben, why are you getting arrested?
Move down the hallway. If you stop, you will be arrested.
Poor kids in Gaza by buying bombs and pays for it by kicking kids off Medicaid in the U.S.
Keep going down. Keep going down the hallway.
Ben, how many days have they been starving in Gaza?
What has it been? 75 days by now.
Stop.
75 days they've been starving in Gaza. 75 days. He's talking about when Israel decided to hold up some of the humanitarian aid going in there because Hamas was taking it. I actually have a video of Hamas fighting inside of a humanitarian aid depot, setting up an ambush on the Israeli Defense Force. We have that coming at you today. Also, Trump administration decided it'd be a good idea to target Iran's efforts, all right, releasing new sanctions. So here it is, coming straight out of the U.S. Treasury and who they decided to sanction. Turns out it was only 6 individuals and 12 entities for their involvement in helping the Iranian regime domestically source the manufacturing of critical materials needed for their ballistic missile program. We could read more into it if you guys really want. I don't think you want to. I don't really think you care. Yesterday, we ended up getting the notification of all of these getting dropped over and across the Gaza Strip. These are all of the warnings telling people to GTFO inside of Gaza. And boy, oh boy, was there more than that ended up going on today. Airstrikes have been taking place all across the Gaza Strip, starting last night, going early into the freaking morning. Check this out. These are all of the documented ones so far that ended up popping up. Let me blow this up big on your screen. I did get notifications of airstrikes outside of Khan Yunis on the outskirts, but it looks like people have reported that they're taking place down in the middle of Khan Yunis itself, working all the way up. But the majority of the airstrikes, from what at least I'm getting videos of, is all the way up in the north over here in between Gaza City, Al-Shifa Hospital, Jabalia, all of that crap. They're just going to town on it up over there. Check this out. Hey, Gaza, you chose war. Yeah. Oh, buddy, did they? These are coming from northern Gaza, allegedly. Now, as I let this one roll, I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to let it play again while I tell you this. I don't believe the IDF has been dropping warnings, doing roof knockings and things like that as they normally do before they go in and bomb these targets. I have only been able to actually find one pre-strike video. That is, they capture the munition actually going in and hitting the house. And I don't even think that they knew it was coming. I think it was just kind of like a lucky capture that ended up taking place over there. You guys are about to see a lot of freaking destruction over inside Gaza today because the whole place has just been getting wrecked. They're talking about over 100 people that have been killed just overnight in the Israeli airstrikes down in the south. They're not, that doesn't account for what's up in the north. They're just talking about down in the southern portion of the Gaza Strip. This is a really cool controlled det as far as I'm concerned. It's of a college, I believe, that was being used, for military purposes. Either way, it's a cool boom. Yeah, it's one heck of a video going down. I love that one. That's basically what's going to end up happening to the entire Gaza Strip following the end of this conflict. Now, Israel's going in and launching these airstrikes. And what is the purpose of them going in and launching them? I'm going to talk about that here in just a sec, because I do believe that we have that ground assault that's going to be imminent following these strikes. And I say that because of the volume of the strikes that I'm currently coming across over online. There is a lot of reporting on these dang strikes, and there is a lot of people that are complaining about the amount of people that are dying over there, which typically when I see that coming out of Gaza, that means that Israel did in fact pick up with heavier airstrikes. And normally we see that uptick in airstrikes right before the assaults begin. All right, let's watch this one.
ننقل لكم المشهد والصورة الآن. سلسلة من الغارات الإسرائيلية تستهدف منطقة تل الزعتر، أشبه بزلزال وبراكين من الانفجارات كما تشاهدون الآن. هذا هو المشهد من مستشفى تل الزعتر. اختفت مستشفى العودة الواقع في تل الزعتر في هذه الدخان وفي هذه الغارة الإسرائيلية شمالي قطاع غزة.
Now, I have no idea what that man's saying, but I do have eyeballs and I can see what's going on. If you take a look out at the landscape going across this area, you can tell that there's been some heavy fighting down here in the past. A lot of that is really old rubble, and you can tell that some of it's old rubble because it's been washed off by the rain. There's not a lot of dust settled on it, things of that nature. And normally in like the newer stuff, you'll have like more dust that ends up settling on it and things of that nature because of, how do I want to say that? Yeah, well, here, this video will actually explain it better than I can. This is allegedly coming from out of the Jabalia refugee camp today. Incog Faraday, I appreciate you coming in and gifting out those 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that don't know, this channel, we love freaking gifted memberships. Why? Because we want you guys over in our Discord. We have an amazing Discord. We have an amazing community over there. You guys have saved me. I've talked to a bunch of you guys. I met a couple of you through the Discord. You guys have helped me out in my personal times and my personal struggles, and I love seeing the stories of everything that goes on over inside of our Discord. You know, through our Discord, we've been able to raise money for Ethan Hertwick's funeral over inside of California after his body got recovered. After being MIA basically for over a year, we were able to pay for his funeral for his family to take that burden off of them. We've been able to do a lot of cool things over inside there. You guys, I've literally seen you lift people up and make sure that they are taken care of in their time of need. It's an amazing community. I highly recommend. If you are not a true supporter, get into our freaking Discord. Become a true supporter. You need to be a true supporter in order to be into our Discord. Sign up for that sucker, ladies and gentlemen. Sign up. Chrisers coming in, gifting out a Speak the Truth membership. Chrisers, I think it was you, now that I think about it. Were you the one that tagged me in that freaking opening video that I ended up playing of the freaking Growler flying over the top? I think it was you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following me on X, make sure you do it. It's down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen as you're viewing me right now. I really love it when you guys end up tagging me in freaking new videos and things like that that are coming out because we tend to get a lot of footage off the ground over inside Gaza that way. I have a lot of people that tag me say, hey, have you seen this? I'm only one man. There's only so many places I can be. So I really appreciate the help from the community when I end up getting it. So get your butt over there and freaking help me out, and I will help you out. We'll make the world a better place by actually reporting on accurate information. Let's go. Ooh, Seal Rock, Oregon. Man, I tell you, as somebody that was raised in Oregon, part of me kind of like misses it, but the other part of me absolutely does not. Like, absolutely not. Here's another view of an airstrike that ended up taking place over inside Gaza. Lots of still images. Like I said, lots of after strike videos that are coming out, but not a lot of the actual strikes themselves. I do have a video of a strike coming up here in just a second. A lot of these videos that you guys are seeing are coming out of the north. Here you go. Here's your video of the strike coming in. Like I said, it doesn't appear that they were planning on this airstrike to happen. It just so happens that they had their camera up and oriented and that airstrike came burning in. You guys ready? Check this out.
دار عبد النبي
دار جنب البنية على الشارع.
تعال وقف.
مش مشكلة تصويره. طيب واقف. كويس ماشي. عوض الله اسماعيل.
Now, check this kid out in the bottom right here that's sitting down, and watch how quick he hits the ground. Like, this dude has been around, this child right here has been around more airstrikes than most people inside of the United States military. I guarantee you. Watch how quick this guy reacts. He was on the ground or en route to the ground. Look at that. Before that bomb hit, he's already down. That's freaking impressive. He heard it coming. So for those that have never experienced like danger close airstrikes before, there is a very particular noise that bomb makes as it comes burning in. And that freaking kid heard that sucker, and he ended up diving for freaking cover the moment he heard that sucker burning in. That's pretty wild. And you're right. They're not giving warnings to these people anymore. IDF ended up saying, like, one, we warned you to evacuate the area. And if you didn't evacuate, we might be considering you hostile. So get up and GTFO, get out of Dodge. As you can see here, like, look at the opening of this video, how you just have a bunch of men lined up on the right side of this image right here, and then you have this boy over here on the other side. I also like you to notice that all of these men are wearing black pants, and so's that boy. Anybody else see that, or is it just me? All of the men are wearing black pants, and so is this young man. What do you think it is that they are sitting around and waiting for in this particular area? Again, all wearing black pants, all sitting around clearly what is a hostile area. What do you think it is they're waiting for? I think, personally, that they're waiting for the jihad. I think that they're waiting for Israeli troops to come in. Most people have evacuated from that area. As you can see, there's nobody else around but this group of men, and they're taping the dang thing. They're recording the whole thing. Where's everybody else? This isn't exactly the most populated area, and it doesn't look like there's a lot for them to be able to freaking live in. You can see they have like some shanties that are set up back over here. You see a couple cars, right, that are set up. This one's covered for some reason. Interesting. Wonder why they have a cover on top of that one. Let's watch this video one more time.
دار جنب البنية على الشارع. تعال وقف. مش مشكلة تصويره.
Weird. They're dressed all in black and they know exactly what ended up getting hit. Southern Gentleman says, thanks, Matt, and the rest of the true supporters. Love you all. God bless. Hope you all have a good rest of the week. Thank you, Southern Gentleman. Greatly appreciate you for that. All right, let's keep moving on down some of these airstrike videos and everything else. And as we do that, I wanted to show you guys, this is from the Palestinian Chronicle, and they are... how do I want to say this? They are citing, there's the gentleman from the thumbnail that I ended up stealing. They are citing, okay, over 100 Palestinians killed inside Gaza as Trump ends up touring. This ended up coming out today, and they're talking about the airstrikes that are taking place, all right? Since dawn on Thursday, they have their casualties risen to 103. The bombings ended up started getting very intense last night down across the southern portion of the Gaza Strip. Could really care less, but some of the journalists have to say, and there's a good reason for that. A very, very good reason for that. I didn't even catch this article that ended up coming out not that long ago. Hamas's Al Jazeera admits story of IDF rapes in Gaza hospital were fabricated. Yep. They ended up redacting a story. This came out last March, and last March. I didn't even catch it until today. Stories of rape inside of the Shifa hospital. Al Jazeera ended up reporting on it from this one woman, and believe it or not, this blew my mind. Hamas investigated it and found it to be false. They alerted Al Jazeera, and Al Jazeera actually took it down. I don't know why that blew my mind, but it absolutely did. All right, let's get back to some of these airstrike videos over inside of Gaza. I'm going to get that up on the screen. This video right here is allegedly over inside of Jabalia, and it looks like a freaking massive linear target. If I was to guess, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 distinct smoke plumes in this particular video. I'll put those up on the screen, and hopefully you guys can see them, and I'm going to play this sucker all the way through. But I can make out 4 distinct smoke plumes, at least, possibly 5, all right, that are in this video. That means they ended up just having a bunch of bombs that ended up going through, you know, and striking that dang thing, just freaking crushing it. All right, let it roll. That's pretty amazing as well, because you could hear, like, one, you already see the freaking bombs that have, like, started detonating, right? Like, obviously we have all those, like, smoke plumes and stuff, but you can also judge the distance on that sucker, because obviously speed of sound travels way slower than the speed of light. And so you're getting, like, the sounds of that bomb ripping in, followed by the detonation at the very beginning of this video. It's actually pretty unique in that sense that these bombs already went off. The guy started rolling his freaking camera and then ended up getting it. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, Matt. I only heard one explosion in that entire thing. It's because all these bombs end up getting dropped at the same time. I have literally had guns from freaking fast movers called in, right? Like 20mm cannon from fast movers. And it sounds like a freaking bomb going off just because of the how do I want to say this? Obviously, there's a distinct difference when the aircraft is shooting and everything else. But what you end up getting because of how high up those aircraft are when they come burning in. Like when they come down, they're obviously oriented down and they're already up and going back out by the time those rounds end up striking the actual target, and they're on their way up and back out from fast movers anyways, right? We're not talking A-10s, we're just talking fast movers, right? So they're already up and they're on their way out by the time those rounds end up impacting the ground. Due to the distance and the way the sound travels and all that other crap, a lot of the times it sounds like a singular impact across the target. And so when you have multiple bombs that are strung out like that, but kind of like all in one, everything just kind of bounces off of itself by the time it makes it out to you. It's actually pretty cool that was actually captured on video. Kind of a fan of it myself. Now, let's talk about Hamas. Let's talk about what they're doing and where they're hiding. It has been alleged, all right, that Israel is holding up humanitarian aid and all of that other crap, or that Israel is randomly targeting humanitarian aid facilities. They're targeting certain trucks. They're targeting certain organizations and everything else over inside of Gaza. And all of this is going to get a heck of a lot worse. I would expect these airstrikes to continue on for 24, 48, maybe even 72 hours over inside of Gaza before Israel decides they're good to go to start moving into Gaza. Now, they can take their sweet time. And this is something that I've warned people about. Well, hold on. Let's talk about that in a sec. Let me show you guys this freaking ambush video from Hamas. Uh-oh. What's all that right there? Anybody? Who wants to tell me what all that stuff is packaged up over in the back? And don't worry, you're going to get a very good view of this area here in just a second. But guess what that crap is? Weird. It's like they're launching an attack from where humanitarian aid is stored, or it's their own. Hamas trying the old Ozzy Peel. Imagine that. Hamas has surveillance videos of that location as well. So for anybody that's trying to say that Hamas is not controlling this stuff, that they don't have control over these warehouses, I present to you this video. All right. You can clearly see that not only did they launch an attack from this location, but they also have control over the freaking surveillance on it. BBG coming in, giving out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Greatly appreciate you, friend. Thank you. All right, let's keep it rolling.
بسم الله الله اكبر الله اكبر من الله الحق الله اكبر سبيلك وابتغاء مرضاته.
So that's them claiming that they ended up taking out 8 people. Obviously, I think there was a little bit of clever video editing that ended up taking place there. Skipper is running around doing work in this video. Yeah, that he was. That flies. I thought it was rats. No, that thing that was flying around was a drone, followed by the military working dogs that were in there either sniffing for explosives and or people before they ended up going into that building. This is one of the I mean, if that video is accurate, if they ended up taking those guys out in that manner, it is probably one of the most obnoxious things that I've ever seen. And I would think that the IDF would be used to it at this point. It wouldn't kind of like fall for that crap. But yeah, that is a very common tactic that I've had used against myself, and it's freaking annoying. Not over inside Gaza, but again, just fighting other radical Islamists. What they'll do is they'll attack you from a location and attempt to get you to follow them in there. And as you're waiting, they'll have an ambush like that. That is set up on you. It's a very real tactic. It is used pretty widely with these different jihadists in and around, I don't know, the freaking Middle East. Let's get back to some strike videos, ladies and gentlemen. Again, here's another image. This one's coming out of North Jabalia. That same video we just had just a little bit ago. I guess I double stacked it. Either way, it's a good strike.
دار جنب البنية الشارع.
Hawata. Baba. There's some more still images coming at you guys out of Jabalia. All right. As you can see, date's updated to the 15th down on the freaking camera. And it looks like some sort of surveillance footage that ended up capturing some of this stuff. There's another good one. It shows you, and again, I want to point this out. You'll notice in a bunch of these different videos that where the city's at, it's all a bunch of destroyed rubble that's down there. You'll see nothing but a bunch of leveled freaking areas. And then you have all of these people that are off living on the side. You've got like their little bazaars, their markets and stuff like that. They're set up off to the side. And then you have these airstrikes that are taking place outside of it. All right. And the reason for that likely is because what is actually being targeted in these cities now is legitimately those Hamas fighters. You've got a bunch of people that ended up pulling out of there. Clearly it's inhabitable, right? Unless you choose to just live in freaking rubble, is a very uninhabitable area. And so they've taken out, they've pulled back up, they've set up their little freaking, like little tent camps, and they sit up on the outside. Martin says, did you hear about the deal Trump made with Mexico in regards to Chapo's family going into the U.S.? No, I haven't heard about that yet, but if I need to, I will look into it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is probably one of those images that kind of shows you the level of destruction. It's not in the entirety of Gaza, all right, but it is a huge freaking chunk of it. Now, I've made this before. I've talked to you guys about this before. You have, at the beginning of this conflict, 40,000 Hamas fighters estimated inside of Gaza. Gaza is roughly the size of the city of Las Vegas. Between 2003 and 2010, when the United States of America went into Iraq, all right, and we were over there and we're fighting the Ba'ath Party, and then we ended up fighting radical Islamists, what you ended up getting was a grand total of under 40,000 enemy combatants, KIA. So, to put that in perspective, the entire country of Iraq, massive, over a 10-year time span, United States of America ends up killing less than 40,000 enemy combatants across the entire country of Iraq. Inside of Gaza, you have an estimated 40,000 fighters in a city the size of Las Vegas, in an area the size of the city of Las Vegas. It makes perfect sense why you see this level of destruction. Now, I think if the news was able to take that and make that an actual comparison on a daily basis, a lot of this would make a hell of a lot more sense, right? You got to put these different things into perspective. So when you see things like this, it also makes it very, very, I don't know, eye-opening in my opinion, how many people are actually still alive and how few people actually have been killed in comparison. And that 10-year time span when the United States went in and took out 40,000, all right, Ba'ath Party members and jihadists over inside of Iraq, we ended up having an estimated 139,000 and some change civilian casualties. All right. Now, some of those could be attributed to, I don't know, let's say massive VBIEDs or vehicle-borne IEDs that ended up getting set off. And still, inside Gaza, we only have about, 40,000+ right now. So it's pretty freaking insane to me that these numbers are so low over inside Gaza. And that number also includes enemy combatants. When we start taking everything and start really wearing it down and start like really drawing down on these numbers, and we start accounting for Hamas being, you know, part of the freaking number that they end up putting out and all this other crap, dude, you're talking about less than 10,000 civilian casualties, especially when you take in the number of natural deaths that occur inside Gaza. Also, somebody actually pointed this out to me that is a very good, it was actually Hebrew Hammer, my buddy Hebrew Hammer, had him on the show before. He pointed something out to me last night as we were talking. He said that a very good argument that goes against everybody over inside of Gaza starving, how to basically combat that BS, is the fact that the population is still increasing, that women are getting pregnant at a very high rate over inside of Gaza still to this day. Well, here's some fun facts for you. The female body will not ovulate when it ends up getting to that point. This is why you have Olympic athletes, right, that are on such strict diets and such heavy work, they don't have enough body fat in order for their body to support a child, right, if they were to get pregnant. So they stop it. A lot of like young ladies that are Olympic athletes sometimes don't get their, you know, like don't actually get into puberty until like 17, 18, 19 years old because of this. It's also the reason why over here in the United States, we have young kids that are getting pregnant at a much younger age, just because of the simple fact that they have more body fat. And so when you look at Gaza and you start saying, look, all of this population is on the increase over in there, there's a very good reason for that. It's because they have that, right? Like they're I don't want to say it. They have enough food to produce that much body fat so that they can do it. Pretty freaking wild. Your audio is 100% better recently. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I spent a lot of time trying to get all this crap fixed, and then all of a sudden I end up having these issues. I believe this report that we're about to watch is coming out of Sky News. It's a 4-minute video, and it goes over the airstrike yesterday, or 2 days ago, excuse me, that ended up taking out Mohammed Sinwar along with a couple of the other key leadership inside of Hamas. Sky News says that Israel lied. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is substantiated, this would be kind of big. But Sky News, who typically doesn't go this freaking wild, says that Israel ended up lying about that particular airstrike and that they didn't drop bombs near a hospital, that they dropped it near a school. Now, why Israel would feel the need to lie about that is well beyond me. I went over, I looked at the terrain, it seemed to match up perfect to me. But let's take a look.
This was an attack on the European hospital in southern Gaza, one of the only functioning medical facilities in the Strip. It was struck by Israeli forces on May 13th. The Hamas-run health ministry said the airstrike killed at least 16 people. It's one of multiple attacks on medical facilities and civilian areas in recent days, and part of a broader escalation in Israel's offensive.
And I'd like to point out, Israel has never struck a hospital directly with a bomb, even to this day.
Sky News data and forensics team has geolocated all of these strikes and verified footage of the aftermath. Footage from inside and outside the European hospital revealed the impact of the strikes. We see injured patients on the streets, damage to a bus, and a huge crater ripped through the pavement. This video was taken here and shows one of at least 10 strikes on and around the hospital. In the last 48 hours, there were also strikes at a school near the European hospital, nearby on Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis, and farther north on residential areas in Jabalia. The IDF has rapidly expanded no-go zones in Gaza in the last month. Now, 65% of the Gaza Strip is either under evacuation order or considered a militarized zone.
No way.
The European
It's almost like there was 40,000 fighters in there.
Outside the IDF's combat zone. This, coupled with the fact that it's a medical facility, means that it should be protected under international law. Israel said it was targeting a Hamas command.
And that right there is a false statement. It should be protected underneath international law, but it loses its protected status the moment it's used for any military purposes whatsoever. And just as we saw in that last video that I showed you during that freaking ambush, they end up using these protected sites, these protected facilities to their benefit in order to launch attacks. So she is technically correct that a hospital should be considered protected underneath international law. I'd like to point out two things. Number one, not a single bomb actually dropped on that hospital. And while they did come very close to the parking lot and things of that nature outside, or the roadways that are directly outside of it, those bombs also detonated subsurface. And as we saw yesterday, those subsurface detonations don't really do anything other than throw people around when those end up coming in. You could be standing about 30 meters away from that sucker and still be okay when it goes into the ground.
And control center buried beneath the hospital, which would make it a legitimate military target. And local media reported that it was an attempt by Israeli forces to assassinate Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar, but there is still no confirmation of his death.
Yeah, because he's buried underground, woman. I actually had a video or an image of him the other day that I ended up talking about where it absolutely certainly looked like him. And then I saw another one of where they pulled him out of the rubble. So you can say there's no confirmation of his death, but there's definitely an image out there that looks like Mohammed Sinwar lying dead in the rubble and lying cold dead inside of a hospital.
IDF also posted this video shortly after the attack, saying it showed tunnels used by Hamas under the hospital. But Sky News has verified.
And this is where Sky News is wrong. This video actually is an older video. There's people floating around online stating that this was the actual hospital attack, and I don't believe it was. I think this was a later attack that ended up taking place in a different area. So people were reporting that this video got released by the IDF, and we can go over and we can check it out here in just a minute. That's what people were reporting, but I watched somebody redact their statement yesterday, a very credible individual that stated that they got fooled into thinking that this, in fact, was released by the IDF.
Nearby school. And an expert told us that the structures the video highlights as tunnels are more likely to be water drainage. And Israel has been intensifying its strikes on Gaza in recent...
So there's an issue right there, as far as I know. By the way, this is a cold react to this video. I haven't watched it. I just saw that it was a Sky News attempting to say that things are wrong. But again, that video, as far as I'm aware, was circulated around online, and that it was basically misinformation. Somebody, not the IDF, had actually put that video out. And now Sky News is reporting saying that the IDF did it. We can go over and we could take a look and we could see if the IDF actually did or did not post that very particular video. So it's cute that she says she geolocated it, but it's also, from what I'm aware of, from a strike from like a year ago.
Weeks. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed a full-force Gaza offensive. The past few weeks have been the deadliest since the early weeks of the war. The total number of deaths now stands at more than 52,000, and women and children now make up a greater proportion of the average.
52,000 is a stretch, lady, because you're not breaking down everything else that I did. That is what the Gaza Health Ministry is reporting. And children, by the way, children, just as we saw in that last video where you had a child, all right, that ended up ducking for cover that happened to be wearing all black, or I'm sorry, where all the males were wearing all black pants and sitting over inside the rubble, which is not where everybody's living, okay, but they're over there sitting inside the rubbles with vehicles covered in tarps right next to a location that Israel decided to launch an airstrike on a pile of rubble. Not a building, not anything else. There was nothing else standing over there. And so you got to ask yourself, what the hell were all of those men, those males just doing sitting over there? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call a clue.
Average deaths per day. A 2-month-long blockade on aid has compounded Gaza's suffering. Vital resources like food and medication has all but run out. A UN-backed report said that 93% of people are facing high levels of acute food insecurity, and nearly 71,000 children under the age of 5 are expected to be extremely malnourished over the next 11 months.
Yeah, they said the same thing last year, and every single flipping one of their reports, and not a single time has it actually occurred. They complain about food insecurity, but I can pull up videos of markets. As a matter of fact, UK lawyers just came out yesterday in a trial because the UK has been supplying components for F-35s to Israel, and they're trying to determine whether or not there's a genocide taking place over inside of Gaza. And the UK's attorneys, their lawyers, have came out and said that there is zero evidence that that is occurring over inside Gaza. Zero. And every single report that ended up getting filed by the UN, the Famine Review Committee, Every single time it says that they are very close to this happening, but it never happens. And then they acknowledge it. June of last year, they acknowledged that their first report that they ended up publishing on this, I think it was in February of 24, that they alleged that there was going to be massive famine and all of this other crap, and it never ended up occurring. In June, it was the same thing, and they just released another one, and it is the exact same dang verbiage where they say that it's going to happen, but it never does. Food insecurity versus freaking famine are two entirely different things.
This is all happening as international eyes are watching US President Donald Trump's visit to the Middle East. He's expected to work with Arab leaders on negotiating a ceasefire and hostage release deal. Israel is absent from those meetings, but the country's doubling down of its assault on Gaza makes the need for an agreement more urgent than ever.
IDF told Sky News the underground infrastructure was located beneath the European hospital compound and passed under the adjacent area that was marked on the graphic. In the joint IDF and ISA announcement regarding the underground infrastructure site that was struck, the area marked was adjacent to the hospital and not the hospital itself. Sky. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there's your video from Sky News of what they're alleging over there. Some other just random stuff that ended up coming out today as far as Gaza and Israel are concerned. You ended up having some cancer patients that got evac'd from Gaza, and they made their way over into Jordan. So Jordan is currently taking care of cancer patients from Gaza. So there's some good stuff. Here's your cancer patients getting off the freaking bus and moving on down. Woman's very happy about it. She's so thankful, everything else. So they are, the IDF is processing people out of there right now. And I've seen videos of, people, arriving over inside of Australia. I've seen, that I've shared it on this podcast, the processing points that they've set up down inside Rafah to move the people out of Gaza when the time comes. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the time is actually here. Yesterday, I reported to you about a terror attack that took place over inside Israel where a mother who was pregnant got killed. They ended up pulling the baby out of her stomach. To the best of my knowledge right now, the baby is alive. I could be wrong, but to the best of my knowledge, the baby is alive. This is a surveillance video that ended up capturing the attack. It's one man that ended up walking over, spraying his AK, and running away. They ended up launching operations over inside of Judea, Samaria, last night, and they ended up, I'm still waiting on a BDA out of that, but I heard that there was big gunfights and shit like that were taking place inside there. And the rumor was that they were actually looking for this guy. I guess they ended up not finding him. Here we go. Let's let it roll. So there's him shooting and running away. I guess they ended up not finding him. There's this report right here of this video that ended up getting released said that they still have yet to capture this individual. They don't know who he is, where he went, or anything like that. But they were tracking him on the CCTV, know the general area that he went in, and I think that is why those different attacks ended up getting launched last night. Now, if this is the only thing that we have, it kind of makes sense why they haven't captured this individual yet. This is our blurry imagery. This is what we have. That's it. That's what we got of this individual. So God only knows who this individual is, where they came from, where they went. But they went into a particular area, or they went to a particular neighborhood, and they were looking for him, and they ended up not, finding him, to the best of my knowledge. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for my broadcast this morning. I appreciate you guys all for joining me over here. I don't know who she is. You guys are saying she's hot. Why is it every time I put a woman up on the screen, dudes are like, bruh, she is smoking? Or you guys just start simping over every woman I end up putting up on the screen. It's hilarious to me. You guys are out of control, man. Love you, Jay. Love you, Jay Rudy. Not calling you out, but kind of called you out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to end up putting out a video later on this evening on all of the updates for what fighting is taking place over inside Gaza. Make sure you guys are on the lookout for that. I'm going to release that right around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm dropping them a little bit early. We used to drop those videos right around 7. I'm moving it back 1 hour just based on when you guys are online. So it's going to go out there. Be on the lookout for that, because all of those glitches that ended up taking place with the Streamlabs software today ended up burning. YouTube only gives us 3 notifications a day, so you're not going to get notified. So make sure you go back and you check on it and make sure it's there. All right, ladies and gentlemen.